Thanks for joining me. Let's get straight to it here. This is our latest satellite imagery from GOES 18 at about 1:30 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. We can see in the middle of this shot here, that is the Jasper fire, and already showing signs once again of fairly extreme fire behavior at the surface, as we are seeing pyrocumulus clouds. Those are just cumulus clouds basically that are sitting on top of that smoke plume as a result of that plume going high enough into the atmosphere that it's cooling and condensing into cloud there. So likely again, fairly extreme fire behavior ongoing at the surface there. The other thing that's noteworthy about this shot is that yesterday we saw that smoke plume really getting blown off to the northeast with those strong southwest winds aloft. Today it looks like it's moving a little bit more northward, and of course any northward spread in the valley toward the town site today, very concerning. There is this fairly thick shield of cloud moving in that's kind of associated with this big upper level disturbance moving into the region that'll bring rainfall later on tonight and into tomorrow. But before that time, we're still going to be seeing some concerning gusty winds down low here. So hopefully we can keep the daytime highs a little bit lower as a result of this cloud shield. We did see some explosive growth on the fire yesterday. This image from Lauren Buchanan shot at about 2 p.m. local time, 20 kilometers southeast of Jasper there, just showing that really extreme fire behavior at the surface there. Down low, of course, this is smoke. And on top of this one particularly strong updraft, we can see again, there's that cloud on the very top there, that pyrocumulus cloud. And of course, that upward motion in the atmosphere strong enough here to cause this lenticular cloud, really just capping that one particularly strong updraft there. So very intense fire behavior out there, blow up conditions with those strong winds yesterday southeast of Jasper. Another talking point that we've been seeing on social media is notice all these red trees here. This image shot by Morgan Laidler back in 2018. There has been a well-known multi-year infestation of mountain pine beetle in the Jasper area, and that's what all those red and gray looking trees are there. There's some debate as to how much this could be playing a role in the fire spread. Some research indicates that the link is actually kind of inconclusive, but regardless, just given how hot and dry and windy it's been, the drought conditions out there, any of these trees, any of this vegetation can serve as fuel for intense wildfire growth. So an interesting point nonetheless here. Looking at satellite indicated hotspots, our last scan, this is from a polar orbiting satellite or several polar orbiters that make a couple passes over Earth every day at any given point. This is up at about 700 or 800 kilometers above the Earth and had probably clear enough skies overnight that this scan was pretty accurate. But again, this is now several hours old. Likely this scan was in the middle of the night, probably 4:30 in the morning was our most recent scan. So likely seen some growth in this direction toward the Jasper town site. And we did have some light southeasterly winds in the overnight hours that pushed that fire toward the Jasper area. Of course, we've got these two fires burning in the vicinity of Jasper, at least two. Not sure what's going on up here. Hopefully that's not another fire northwest of Jasper. But this fire here, 5 kilometers or so northeast of the town site, about 270 hectares this morning. That has been backing slowly westward and southwestward toward the town site. But the most concerning fire, of course, is this major one to the southeast of the town site. Now that northwest flank as of this morning was about 8 kilometers southeast of the town site. Yesterday was about 12 to 14, so it is closing that gap northwestward. We saw significant explosive spread northeastward as those southwest winds were pushing up the west and southwest slopes of Antler and Amber Mountains here. And of course, that fire quickly ran out of fuel as it reached the tree line. And now, of course, we're watching other active flanks here, especially the northwest flank as it pushes northwestward toward Jasper. Very critical day here in store, especially as we see southerly winds pushing up the valley. And of course, again, we have to remember complex mountainous terrain. The wind tends to funnel down these river valleys, and it can kind of converge here and really ramp up in certain places where it's kind of funneling into the terrain here. So likely going to be seeing more strong wind-driven growth today. A very challenging, very serious situation here as this fire continues to push northwestward toward the town site. And some of the terrain that this fire is working through here, just to give a sense here, 3D from Google Earth, the fire is pretty much right here in the middle of the Athabasca River Valley, starting to advance in all directions on this flank here. But yesterday, again, with those strong southwest winds quickly running up these slopes here, where that wind and that slope effect is really combined, and again, running out of fuel on this flank and starting to push northwestward up the valley toward Jasper town site. The weather picture here, this is wind at 500 millibars. That's about 5 kilometers above the Earth in the middle part of the troposphere. We can see here, this is British Columbia and Alberta. This is an upper level low pressure system that is moving into the region. It's going to be bringing some rainfall, but before that time, we still have strong southwest flow crossing the Rocky Mountains there. We can see that mid-level jet stream progressing across the Rockies throughout the day today, likely also supporting risk of severe thunderstorms in central parts of Alberta. And then on the east side of this upper low here, we're seeing strong rising air that's going to be bringing that rainfall across much of the region, which will be very helpful for the fire situation, at least in the near term, as that upper low progresses into the region, bringing cooler temperatures and much wetter conditions on Thursday. But we need to get through today before that's even important. Likely that rainfall beginning, again, Jasper is sitting right about here on the tip of my cursor, that rainfall beginning late evening tonight and really progressing throughout the day on Thursday with much cooler conditions than we've been seeing recently, at least in the near term. That rainfall will not be putting that fire out, but it'll certainly be helping with fire spread and potentially suppression efforts as well as that flank approaches the Jasper town site. As we have been seeing in the town site, of course, there's been preparations that have been made. We've been doing some fire smarting there, removing flammable materials from all the properties in the town site there, of course, and installation of sprinklers to protect critical infrastructure in Jasper. And of course, there's talks of constructing a control line along the southern side of the town site here. But of course, that is going to take time to plan. And we can't get those bulldozers out there cutting down trees until, that fire activity really starts to settle down. So again, we have to make it through today, because if this fire makes a run toward the town site, it's not safe to be working in the vicinity of that wildfire on that northwest flank of the fire. So we're going to be seeing what happens today. Hopefully that fire doesn't progress that far and they can construct that control line and then the rain comes. That would be the ideal kind of situation throughout the day today. Of course, we are seeing ongoing extreme fire danger and fire danger locally here in Jasper and across eastern sections of the boreal forest regions. Cool down a little bit in the northwestern part of the province, and hopefully we see some improvements with heavy rain forecast across much of northern Alberta in the coming days. Taking a look at a spot forecast here. This is from Spot WX, and I've just selected a spot on the map here that's basically where that northwest flank of the fire is to see what kind of weather conditions will be occurring there. We're looking at the HRDPS model. This is a Canadian high-resolution weather model, and just to get a sense of what the weather might be doing locally today. And assuming cloud cover isn't going to keep those temperatures down, forecast highs are getting up around 25, 26 degrees. In the vicinity of that fire. But the thing to note here, that red line is temperature, the green is dew point temperature. When those are far apart, that means the air is dry, the relative humidity is low. And anytime your temperature value is higher than your relative humidity value, you have what's called crossover. And again, just an indication of dry air that can aid in significant fire spread. So it looks like those crossover conditions are going to persist based on this model from about 1 to 8 p.m. or so. So that's very concerning there, with relative humidity bottoming out in that sort of 17% range. The other thing, and the main thing that's concerning about this, though, is the gusty winds forecast. And at that location, south-southeasterly or southerly winds, which checks out based on the shape of the terrain there, that wind funneling north and northwestward up the Athabasca River Valley there. In the afternoon hours, forecasting 20 to 40 kilometers an hour. Hopefully this forecast is not correct, with strong gusty winds really ramping up in the evening hours between 5 and about 8 p.m. Gusts here on this model approaching 60 to 70 kilometers an hour out of the south. That would be very, very concerning situation for Jasper. Again, looks like we're seeing some rainfall, meaningful soaking rainfall perhaps on Thursday, but we need this to be consequential. Again, of course, assuming this fire flank does not reach the town site today, if we can get that fire to not reach the town site, and we can get that heavy rain, we'll be in much better shape here, at least in the near term, as we are seeing across the board models showing a fairly significant precipitation event here, 20 millimeters, with much more rain across much of northern Alberta, which will certainly help those fires. But the longer term trend, of course, this is just going to be helpful in the near term. Again, assuming the fire does not make it to the town site today, because we are seeing yet again another warming and drying trend into the long range there. So more challenging fire weather days perhaps ahead in the coming weeks in Alberta if this warm, dry, windy weather persists. But in the near term, again today, the critical piece will be, hopefully that fire does not reach the town site with those strong, gusty southeasterly winds today. ahead of the rainfall event tonight. Thanks for joining me. We'll talk to you next time.